William? Hello, I am on. Excellent. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Egunon, no, buenos días, buenos días. Hello, everybody, good morning. Please make your way into the auditorium. Thanks, guys, this is not for you. Please make your way in. We're kicking off. We have groups arriving from our tours this morning, so got a little bit delayed, unfortunately, but they're coming now from the Open Innovation Centre at the Port of Bilbao and also at the Aviation Innovation Centre. Bilbao, as you know, and the Vizcaya region, as we discovered yesterday, is full of these innovative technology clusters that are really cutting edge in terms of what they're doing. And what's amazing in terms of Bilbao is not only is it an awesome city with a wonderful quality of life, with some of the best food in the world, some of the best culture in the world, some of the best art and design, but also these technological clusters are cutting edge and they're world class, which is really, really interesting for companies to look at partnerships, presence, enabled to land here, to collaborate here, and this kind of open innovations ecosystem is innovation thriving at its best. So it's a really, really mature ecosystem. Of course, we're delighted to play our little role here in terms of South Summit Industry and Energy Track that we've run for 4 years now. So thrilled to help power up the ecosystem in these key industries that are really starting to compete at an international level, but becoming a real kind of leadership hub within the European ecosystem. So delighted to see that happen and be a small part of that success. So we are kicking off this morning's track around mobility. We've been looking at Industry 4.0, energy transition and mobility over these 2 days, and we're kicking off the conversation, continuing looking at innovations around mobility. Our first speaker this morning has traveled an extensive way to be here with us. First time to Bilbao, so give him the biggest, best Bilbao welcome, and exploring the best the city has to offer, and of course excited to engage with this ecosystem. This is light electric mobility delivery vehicles in South Africa. Can you imagine? So what an exotic and incurious market to understand, and every market has its nuances and opportunities to innovate, so we'll be super excited to hear about the story of this entrepreneur. And without further ado, we'd love to welcome to the stage a conversation facilitated by our very own Joe Haslam from IE University. So folks, kicking off the day, please give a big warm welcome to Joe Haslam, a professor at IE Business School, facilitating conversation with Neil Duprez, founder of Mellow Vans.
Hey, thank you.
Let's go, guys.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So, great to be here, great to be back yesterday. Those of you that were here for my interview, more of the same. So Neil, as you were telling me at 2 o'clock in the morning in an Irish bar on our fourth Guinness, you work in the area of last mile delivery.
Indeed I do.
Yes.
I build light electric delivery vehicles,
Yeah.
in essence.
Okay, and how did you, I'm not going to say how did it all go wrong, but how did you get into that?
Yeah, just in my early 20s, I spent some time working in the Far East. And at that stage, the Chinese had already started building light electric utility vehicles and thinking about police vehicles and that type of thing. And then across Asia, the humble tuk-tuk really proliferates. It's all over, the tuk-tuk in Thailand, Malaysia, everywhere. Mm-hmm. The problem is, however, the tuk-tuk is horrible. It's unsafe, it's polluting, it's noisy. So my thinking was to build a product in a tuk-tuk type form factor, but safe, attractive, obviously electric, and something that could be acceptable to the Western world. Mm-hmm. So that's where the idea of the Mellow Cab and then eventually the Mellow Van kind of started.
And I guess you're sort of in the experimentation phase rather than the scale-up phase, or what? How would you describe the phase that the company is in right now?
No, we're definitely in scale-up. We've gone through all industrialization. We've got a production facility in South Africa where we're building just over 1,000 vehicles annually at the moment. We've got customers across Africa, the Middle East, and we actually have a few vehicles in Europe as well. We've got some vehicles in Barcelona, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and sending some vehicles to the UK now as well.
Okay.
Not Ireland yet.
Okay, well, we forgive you for that, and come to Cork before you come to Dublin. And what is your key sort of differentiation? You know, what did you learn from the experimentation phase? What's been the key to it? If I'm like
Absolutely.
looking at a competitor, why should I go with you rather than them?
So that really is the key thing. If you look at cities and the way that things are delivered across cities, and I think we can all look out the window, the de facto standard is a large van delivering your small parcel. So that's basically like using a chainsaw to cut a slice of bread. It's not the right tool for the application. So we worked very closely with some of our clients to design the right sized vehicle. And in this case, it's a relatively small vehicle, but it's super applicable to light last mile deliveries in cities. And that cuts across e-commerce, post and parcel, that type of thing.
And there's two types of vehicles, as I understand it. There's like manned and unmanned. Is that correct? Or like where are you? I mean, there's a huge debate now about as we see increasingly autonomous vehicles working
Absolutely.
quite well. So I guess that's probably the future. Or how are you navigating that idea between manned and unmanned?
Yeah. So if I was a betting man,
yeah,
I put money on unmanned systems. Autonomous driving is definitely the future. The technology is there. Regulation is not there. That's the
and
the limiting
particularly
factor.
in Europe.
Absolutely. Well, all over the world, the Chinese again actually are leading the way in terms of regulation. We're seeing some interesting changes also in the Middle East, where autonomous vehicles are actually doing quite well. And I mean, if you could go to any one of our bigger universities, for instance, ETH in Zurich has a fantastic autonomous racing team.
Oh, okay.
So autonomous racing cars that outperform manned vehicles.
Yeah. I heard about that. Like, yeah, I mean, it's like they say that, they even outperform F1 drivers, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if it works in a racing type of environment, of course it'll work in a city environment. The main thing is just regulation needs to catch up.
Sure. And one of the things that you're seeing a lot of like drone deliveries and stuff like that. I mean, is in a somewhere like in an urban environment, is a drone not a better last mile delivery mechanism, or other than an autonomous vehicle?
Again, so I think regulation's also in the way there. Drones are cool, but it's expensive at the moment. And you can imagine if we had cities with drones flying around, there's a couple of impacts that we haven't thought about. Noise, for instance, is quite an issue. Where do we land them? How do we do it safely? And how does it interfere with existing aviation?
Okay.
So, yes, drones for high-value deliveries, absolutely definite. I was lucky enough to see a demonstration project in Malawi, actually, where DHL was doing pharmaceutical deliveries in a geographic location where there's lots of lakes and mountains and stuff, and all of these villages are super isolated.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it worked a charm.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable to see these drones in action, but to make it work at scale in dense cities like these, that's going to be the real challenge.
I mean, that's the thing about Africa, you know, that in a way your disadvantage becomes your advantage, right? Because the lack of infrastructure means you have to be very creative about how you solve the problem.
Absolutely. I think, and being a South African, we're in an interesting position where we're actually solving real-world problems. Africa has, or is the battleground of the future. And if you innovate there, you're not solving problems for shoppers looking for layouts of malls. You have real impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of being in Africa and solving African problems. Is that you're right there.
Yeah, because I mean, things like, you know, a lot of delivery in Europe is basically people too lazy to kind of, you know, rather than there being like an infrastructure problem, like in terms of accessing a remote village or something like that, you know. So, you know, I mean, it's often, there's a critical of VCs like to fund these kind of companies, the food delivery companies, which, might give them a good return, but, you'd wish that they'd fund something that was socially useful.
Absolutely, yeah. If you look at the food delivery companies, it's some of the best funded companies in the world.
Yeah.
Where we're seeing, in some cases for South Africa, we have a really interesting project with governmental pharmaceutical products, where we're delivering medicine to old ladies at their homes, effectively, affordably, in a temperature-controlled environment, and we can track every pill that goes out from the warehouse to the eventual consumer. Mm-hmm. And it's all done by electric vehicles, and hopefully soon enough, self-driving vehicles.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
And talk to me just a bit about the company in terms of like how are you funding it, and also your management, like how's your executive team, and also how did you recruit them?
Yeah, so firstly, funding for hardware and mobility is the issue, because anything in hardware that you actually physically build products, historically is a cash pit. You're going to burn money from day one. So hardware is difficult. We were lucky enough to manage to get governmental funding involved. Okay. And I think building any serious hardware product, that's the type of avenue you have to go. VCs don't like funding hardware. And
so the South African government?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't expecting that. Like,
exactly.
It's the first time I've ever heard someone say anything good about the South African government. Wow, okay. You must be a charmer, Neil, no? For the South African government to give you money. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so they funded it because they saw the social need, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, to a certain extent, and South Africa has always been an automotive country.
Yeah.
Where we fit right into the strategy that they wanted to go with new automotive and obviously job creation and the social impact that we have, which worked out quite well. And then the second part of your question about team, initially we were young engineers playing around, building prototypes, having the time of our lives.
Yeah.
And eventually we had to make the shift from building prototypes to actually building products in a factory. And that really is where the shift happens. Mm-hmm. And I think Elon Musk described very clearly, he said production is hell. And it is hell, because going from that prototype once-off to repeatable production in the hundreds or the thousands is really unbelievably difficult. So we managed to solve the problem by recruiting retired automotive engineers.
Okay.
So we've now got a team of 6 people over 65.
Okay. Oh, wow, okay.
Exactly. All from automotive production, retired in our area, because it's a very nice retirement area.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the key factors that really helped us to scale from a cool prototype to actually something that's industrialized and working and replicable.
But would old guys know anything about electric vehicles? I guess they learn, right?
Well, you don't necessarily need to know about electric vehicles if you want to build something.
Yeah.
Supply chain and production is a very specific skill set.
Okay. You kind of mentioning Elon Musk, you stole my Elon Musk joke. I was going to say, what would South Africa know about electric vehicles? and see, would it get any laugh in the crowd, but eventually, I think I heard a brave totter in the distance. But anyway, I mean, that's interesting, because the truth is actually in a lot of, even Facebook, like they sort of sell this image of young people, but if you go into the data centers, a lot of it is old guys, 5 reliability, who worked for like digital equipment and these kind of companies, but no one wants to kind of talk about those guys, and they come from a kind of they come from a generation that liked to work and be useful.
Exactly.
In other words, even if they're worth like several years of Facebook equity, that doesn't really, you don't care about that. They want to be useful, and they like working on problems, and engineering is a kind of going from 4 nines to 5 nines is a thing for them.
Undoubtedly, yeah, absolutely, and I think many startups make this mistake thinking, we're young, we need young energy, blah, 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 blah. That's ridiculous. You cannot do everything yourself. There's a wealth of information just down the road from you.
Yeah.
In older people, and in our case it was retirees that were sitting at home gardening, golfing, and who says you have to retire at 65, so.
Yeah, I like that. And just talk to me, how big do you think this can get? Like, I mean, I asked on stage yesterday about the 5-year plan, and I didn't get a very strong answer, but it's a standard kind of interview or type investor question, like where do you see yourself in 5 years?
World domination.
World domination. There you go.
Exactly, just like our rugby team.
Yeah, okay, well,
sorry,
we won't mention that.
Bring in rugby.
We discussed this, Neil, we're still hurting.
Exactly.
There should be shouldn't be allowed to take a direct shot at goal as a result of a scrum penalty.
Sorry.
Anyway.
I had to go for that. So I think home delivery, e-commerce is a global thing. Congestion is a global thing. There's not a city in the world that does not have congestion issues. So our product is super relevant. I think the pressure on us is just to build more.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, cities globally are changing the way they look at deliveries as well, the way that streets are managed. And I think there's going to be a lot of innovation and governmental changes coming towards how deliveries are being done.
Sure.
We've normalized 60-minute deliveries or 2-hour delivery, whatever the case may be, and all of that has a knock-on effect on congestion.
Okay.
So we really need to start thinking about mobility and how cities will look 10 years down the line.
So our guests here in the Basque Country would expect me to ask, so when are you going to set up a factory here in the Basque Country?
Yeah. So interesting enough, I didn't know this before coming to Bilbao. Spain is the second biggest producer of automotive products in Europe. And it does make a lot of sense, actually. I'd love to. I love the city, so yeah.
Negotiating, well,
exactly. But we have some vehicles operating in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Testing with some Spanish clients. It's doing quite well. So we'll see. We definitely need to put up a production facility.
Okay, very good. And just in terms of the manufacture, I mean, one of the things about the Tesla is the idea that there's not many parts, like that's how electric vehicles are different.
Correct.
So just talk to me about how many, your vehicles, we're talking about a small number of parts, which, less possibility of braking and stuff like that. So talk to me about the innovation. Again, Elon often says that when you have a problem, your idea is not to solve the problem, but eliminate the possibility of it reoccurring. So if something breaks, you don't fix it. You said you take it out of the Tesla. I mean, is that your kind of approach to manufacture?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Remember, we're building a utility vehicle that needs to survive initially in an African context, but also in a European context, which means really difficult ambient temperatures, super high temperatures in summer, cold in winter, driven by guys that get in and out 100 times every hour. So the vehicles are designed to be tough, super minimalistic, but emphasis on safety. So yes, I think our entire bill of materials is less than 1,000 parts. Mm-hmm. Modern electric motors don't break down anymore, so extreme dependability on motors. And interesting enough, batteries are improving, I think at the moment at 8% per year in terms of energy density. Plus the prices are coming down, which makes electric vehicles so much more applicable to us. And going forward, there's going to be price parity very soon with internal combustion. And then, of course, if you look at the maintenance aspect of it, it's a fraction of the cost.
Now, as well as jokes, I have to get you back over your rugby joke. So I'm going to talk to you about the South African State Electricity Company and how are things there? Because how's your supply of electricity? Because they have, shall we say, gone through some problems.
They have indeed. So our national energy supplier has the ominous title of the most polluting company in the world, which is quite something. It's coal-powered energy. However, having this really difficult state-controlled energy supplier has forced the South African population to think differently about where we get our energy. And I think most of our corporates led the way, and then obviously most of the people as well, by installing our own energy system. So every house in South Africa, every corporate block has solar panels on the roof. Mm-hmm. So I think to a certain extent in the Western Cape where I live, almost 55% of our energy is now sourced from renewables and privately owned renewables, which obviously has a massive effect on the cost of electricity for us, supply of electricity, and obviously if you're operating electric vehicles, the cost of delivering a parcel.
On charging and
Of
all
course,
of that.
absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's something that South Africa has, because of its history, had to be extremely innovative because there was like embargoes and things like that. Is that culture still there in terms of like, finding ways to overcome solution that, by coming up with your own custom type solutions?
Absolutely, but I don't think it's a South African thing. It's an African thing. There's real world problems. If you look at what's happened in East Africa, where they've leapfrogged, landline communications has gone directly to mobile.
Yeah.
The usage of electronic money has basically destroyed cash money. So Africans are innovators, and not by choice, because you have to innovate to survive.
Yeah, the cavalry aren't coming over the hill to...
Exactly. Nobody's going to come and rescue you. You kind of have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question also, South Africa has this really interesting position where we have great education and a working banking system and working tax and harbours. So we're very well positioned to serve the rest of Africa.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting towards the end. We're in the last 5 minutes. Those lovely red digits are counting down.
Yeah.
I always do take an advantage to ask people just about influences, just in terms of like books and documentaries and stuff like that, because you live in a world where a lot of the people you speak to, know about these books, and so is there any kind of like book that you think everyone should read, or any kind of documentary that you think is really good?
Wow, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chasing the Sun.
Yeah. Oh, that's what, the first one or the second one?
Yeah.
About all the Irish coaches that the South African rugby team has?
Indeed, yeah, exactly. But honestly, I think Chasing the Sun is a good representation of our nation, and the way that they set up teamwork for the Springboks really is quite something. In terms of business,
yeah,
definitely.
There's a great one, by the way. The head mechanic of McLaren, like how to build a car. Have you ever read that one?
No.
It's a super. Here's me recommending books for you. But no, it is interesting, and I might even be able to send it to you. But because it's the guy has plenty of money. But yeah, it's like how to build a car, and it talks about obviously F1 cars are very different to electric cars.
Of course.
And also the James Dyson book, his biography.
Okay.
Dyson, right?
Yeah.
He's interesting in terms of like the entrepreneur as manufacturer. His whole design process and how he works with like a pencil and a certain type of paper, and he tried to build a car, of course, and then abandoned it. And
because it's really difficult to build a car. It's impossible.
Yeah. And but so learning from influences. My mother always used to say, and she said, like, a day in a library will save you 6 months in a lab.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
So there was like the Dyson book, or else I forget his name at the moment. He was like Adrian Newey, actually, is his name.
Yeah.
He has a really good book, How to Build a Car, and I'm not in any way a petrol head kind of thing, but I thought it was quite interesting to sort of see how these things are done. And just the other thing, then, there's an image of South African men as being kind of tough and stuff like that. But do you kind of things like mentors and those kind of stuff? I was speaking to someone yesterday about, like, does he have a mentor? Does he get together with entrepreneurs? Because your own business is 90% of hell and 10% of occasional joy.
Yeah.
So, do you kind of get together with other entrepreneurs, and because only another entrepreneur can really understand the pain of what you're going through, the rest of the world just doesn't understand it, or are you just kind of like sort of like I would say springbok your way through it?
No. I think, and that's a super relevant question. So many startups get this massive burnout, huge depression, or they drink too much, and then life just fades away. So you need to keep that kind of balance. And I think for me personally, I have a mentor, but not an entrepreneurship mentor. Ex-university professor that I sit with every Thursday. And I think it's super important for every entrepreneur or startup to have somebody to kind of just vent to.
Yeah.
Not necessarily somebody in the same type of boat that you are. I think an ideal type of scenario is somebody completely different, but somebody that you do trust. Yeah. In my case, I was super lucky to have this university professor.
This is in Stellenbosch, or?
Yeah, it's Stellenbosch, and he's nothing to do with automotive. He's a genetics professor.
Okay.
But that type of mentorship and personal involvement in one's life, I think, is priceless. You absolutely have to.
They say about secrets, and I'll close on this. They say about secrets that you have to tell one other person, you know?
Yeah.
But that like that, if you have something that to unburden yourself, like you have to be able to tell one other person, and you know, it's not fair to the person who, you know, give the burden to the person who shares your life because you worry them. So the idea of having somebody, whether it's another entrepreneur or a mentor or something like that, I mean, it seems a very obvious thing, but I mean, the job I do, you go through periods of thinking, doesn't everyone know you should have a mentor? Doesn't everyone know you should have one person you meet once a week that you can be completely honest with? And then you say this to somebody almost casually, and they're like, God, that's a very good idea. And you're like, I thought everyone does this.
Exactly.
But it's interesting. Anyway, we're out of time. It's been super interesting to speak with you, and you know, congratulations on you know, all entrepreneurs, especially people who have scaled up with what you're doing. It's you know, an excellent thing that you're doing, and best of luck with it. And we'll see you when you open the factory in Bilbao.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Neil.
it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Joe. Fascinating conversation, incredible opportunity on the continent of Africa. Maria, South Summit, South Africa has a wonderful ring to it, don't you think? I think it's something we need to start seeding. We can say, heard it here first, but incredible opportunities. We've been in and out, and we've been in and out of Kenya, looking at opportunities in Nigeria. Actually, we're off to Morocco. I think it's early February. We're doing our first venture day with IE University in Morocco. So it'll be our first feet on the ground on the continent, and really exciting opportunity. And actually, from learnings in Brazil and Latin America, incredible opportunities with that kind of, I suppose, sometimes in absence of infrastructure. No, we've seen incredible opportunities across Brazil and Latin America. Brazil, one of the strongest, obviously, economies there, but really strong ecosystem, huge unicorns coming out of Brazil. And funnily enough, we're actually seeing a lot of the internationalization trajectory from some of the big unicorns out of Latin America come into Africa. Right, it's quite interesting. A lot of them looking at North America, maybe looking at Europe, but actually have more in common with a lot of those markets sometimes. And we're starting to see that trend happen, and we think that is super exciting. Of course, that's where the future is essentially in terms of population and economic growth. So we'd be super excited to land there, and we'll be landing in Morocco further on early next year. So we'll keep you posted. Staying with the theme of mobility, we are on to our next block of startup pitches. We have a range of companies coming from all different parts of the world, super innovative solutions here to present, and some mature opportunities as well. They're already in the market and looking to scale up potentially through Bilbao and through Spain, and lots of other opportunities here. So excited to kick off with the startup competition. And just a final reflection on Neil, really important, you know, to have that support system as a founder. It looks like a really lonely journey. We're always trying to build ecosystem and community around with the founder at the core, of course, and kind of giving them all the support that they need. And it can be, leadership is pretty lonely place, you know. It can be pretty hard to share the struggles and trials and tribulations, both within the family unit, which can be a stress, but also within the company unit, you know, because it's not necessarily always appropriate to have full transparency and exposure with the whole team in terms of the challenges that the leadership is facing. No? So incredible to see that advice around the mentor network. And there's a really interesting association in Spain called ANCLA, which is anchor, and it's about anchoring that emotional fitness, I guess, of the founding teams and building these communities that can support one another and have that mentorship in mind, which is absolutely critical for successful journeys and long-term outcomes now. So, with that said, without further ado, we're moving into our startup competition. Final block of startups that are presenting their solutions this morning. First up, we have a company from Spain, which is Harbor. And presenting the company is Kirill Pereveres? Thank you so much, you're so kind. Kirill, please join us, who's founder of the company of Harbor. Let's go. Woo!
That one? That one. Thank you so much. Yeah, my last name is not the easiest one, especially for Spanish people. Before becoming a founder, I was a seafarer, actually. So I was working on the vessels, doing all these things with the delays, ports, charts, and all this stuff. And this is the first day when I'm presenting Harbor, so don't judge too strictly, please. Yes, so the first idea that we came up with was why don't we do the Google Maps for the vessels? This is not the newest idea, but still. We decided to make the system that will continuously recalculate the voyage, the ETA, will predict the congestion and port delays in real time. So for now, all the vessels, all the fleet operators, they use the fragmented siloed data. Captains and navigational teams, they use paper charts, they use all this kind of old school information, and I thought that the industry needs the intelligence approach, let's say, and the intelligence layer of this is harbor. So according to UN, the maritime industry is very under pressure from the environmental side and from operational side as well. So we decided to make harbor exactly for this industry. Why? So we unify the data from Navaria, from weather reports, from port companies and the fleet operators to give the recommendation when to slow down, when to adjust the ETA, how to deal with delays and congestions at the port. So we are not replacing the existing systems, we just make the life easier. Right now, we are validating this hypothesis with port operators and fleet operators in Middle East and Southeast Asia regions. And by the way, next week I have a meeting with the captain and the navigational team here in Bilbao with one of the Dutch vessels. So the business model is B2B SaaS. Where's this slide? I don't remember. So the business model is B2B SaaS with the different models and API integrations. Of course, we already made the prototype. We have a list of feedbacks from the industry leaders. It's DP World, Abu Dhabi ports, and different fleet operators. And yeah, with my experience, I want to make something that people will use, not just another dashboard. And my goal is to make maritime industry from unsexy, as they say, industry to very attractive one. That's it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well done. Thanks, Kevin. Excellent, spot on. Thank you. Wonderful to see with industry experience actually building a digital solution, so well done. Thank you. Take care. Excellent, amazing, fascinating opportunity there. And moving on to our next company from Germany, we have Ryder G, and presenting the company is Claudio Geiken, sorry, CEO and co-founder. Welcome, Claudio.
Thanks a lot. Hola a todos, and welcome here to my pitch. I am glad to be back in Spain. I lived 6 years in Barcelona, and my ex-boss was actually from the Basque Country. So I have some relations to this place. And also I speak Spanish and Catalan, but not Basque yet. And hopefully sometime, if we do really come and do business here, this will be great. We have plenty of organizations that have supported us already and we're working with. Some of them you can see here in this slide. And what we are building is an AI-powered energy management software for electric fleets. So company cars, vehicles of all types. The problem we are facing that is we're really passionate about is that we're wasting a lot of energy and we're not being very efficient at how we manage energy. This is a figure that you can also adapt to Spain. You have lived a blackout this year, which is something we definitely don't want to have again happening. So it's not only about efficiency, it's also about reliability. And this is not only happening at a macro level of a country, but also at really local levels of fleets. For example, company vehicles and company productions. So this is the big problem that I'm motivated of solving. And for that, let me show you what we need. Here you can see in a graphical way the production of renewable energies. You have solar energy, you have wind energy, and it's not only, of course it's shining during the day, the sun, but the wind is very erratic. It can change every day, and every 15 minutes matter. In the electricity world, we really measure things in 15 minutes brackets. So the prices of electricity, many people don't know, but are actually changing every 15 minutes, and they are becoming more and more popular and common. And so the opportunity lies with electric vehicles to charge at the moments when we have a lot of energy, abundant energy, and then use the batteries in the vehicles and discharge those batteries again to make money. So there's price differences when there's lots of energy around, prices are cheap, and when vice versa, when there's no renewables, it's very expensive. And it coincides also with a lot of dirty coal, as we just heard before. That's not something we want. The problem we are facing and solving for the customers, though, is best illustrated by giving you an example of one of our customers, which I'm most proud of, Audi. Audi has 2 big production plants in Germany where they produce their cars, and they have already installed 3,000 charge points for their employees to charge there every day when they go to work. It's one of the largest sites in the whole world. And they had an issue now that their employees are increasingly using electric vehicles, is that they had also these peaks of power surges at the wrong times, which led to high costs as well and risk of blackout. Now there are other competitors that were offering solutions with chargers with boxes, and we were able to connect via the cloud. And this was very important considering the distribution of the sites, massive buildings, 150 parking lots, very expensive to retrofit with controllers to be able to control the charging process. So we connected to their charging software through our app that then visualizes all the management as well as the savings for them. We are, though, not only working with the very big corporates like Audi, we are able to work also with SMEs that have a few chargers, logistics companies, and not only in Germany, but actually that's also why we are here in Spain, is to expand to countries as well where electric vehicles are becoming more and more popular. Our business case is very straightforward. We save money to the customer, and we basically take a share of the money that we save as a business subscription, so software as a service. We have a team that is mainly, I'm an energy engineer by background, but worked for NOV before, so that was the company I was talking about earlier in Barcelona. And I have a co-founder that brings the software engineering and data engineering skills. We have, next to Audi, I'm very proud as well that we have received the trust of the likes of Total Energies, Charge Cloud, that is also coming here to Spain since this year, and many others. If you want to learn more about the topic, feel free to connect. If you want to also understand how we can collaborate, I'm happy to have a chat afterwards. And also, if you are deeply passionate as me on these topics, I have a podcast. You can check it out, Smart Charge, wherever you listen. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Well done, Claudio. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Super interesting opportunity. Moving swiftly along, our next company is from Sweden. This company is Tomatic, and presenting the company is founder and CEO Krill Blasko. Krill, welcome. Woo!
Hi there. We start, right?
Listen to the clock here, guys. 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, we'll start with I'll talk about the public transport, and we'll start with the big cities, something like Bilbao. This is Stockholm on the picture. You have great access if you live in the big city. The waiting time for the bus would be around maybe 5 minutes, so it's very convenient. However, if we move outside from the big city into a small town, not a village, but a town with a supermarket and everything, there is a huge problem. Usually the small town doesn't have any budget, and basically there is no public transportation. And it's not just a transportation or technology problem, it's actually a social problem because, for example, if you cannot trust the public transportation system to go to a job interview, you're not getting a job. And it's not a problem only for, let's say, elderly people who cannot move because they cannot drive. It's also young people, teenagers who cannot be driven by their parents because the parents are busy, and everyone else. The problem is quite big. It's everywhere in Europe, so we can literally randomly put the finger on the map right now. Let's say I'm having a fever, I want to go to the hospital. Most probably I would need to drive in a small town. We could think that on-demand transportation, on-demand minibuses could solve the problem. However, it has been proven, no, they cannot, because when you have dynamic routing and flexible routing, what happens is that the minibus has to zigzag a lot, and the waiting times explode, and you can just move just a few people per hour, so it's highly inefficient. So what we do differently at Tomatic is actually a digitized transport operator. We bring a fixed network, and it's not just an app, it's a cyber-physical system. With the job of itself is actually making it super efficient to move many people at once. And we have reached some results recently. That's a new slide that we didn't have before September this year. We have reached the operational capacity of 15 passengers per vehicle per hour. That doesn't exist in the on-demand transportation industry anywhere else. And that allows us to use the completely different business model, where instead of just contracting with the municipality and moving just a few people, it becomes way more attractive as a transportation service, and you can actually move many people and charge them with the tickets. So the revenue comes from the passengers, a complete B2C. And with that approach, of course, the user is the king instead of the municipality, and it becomes way more sustainable long term. Thousands of towns like this everywhere in the European Union, and besides in the UK as well. No one is catering to that. We're attacking that market. I would say we start with quite good ones with the transport operators in Sweden. In the United Kingdom, I just came from a pilot in Malta. And with that, you might ask where the municipality is. They help with the promotion, of course, but they don't contract us for anything. It's quite independent. So the vision is to bring great public transportation to small towns that do not have that right now. Thank you.
Thrilled. Super innovative solution. Excellent. Well done. And from Sweden, we're off to Peru. Our next company is Cobox Logistic, and presenting the company is Max Figueroa, co-founder and CEO. Welcome, Max.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Max. It's a pleasure to say welcome to Cobox Logistic, all the logistics services in one single platform. I have to return. Okay, this is the problem that we solve. For example, $21.6 billion per year because you have inefficient process in the logistic process for the last mile logistic. It's just for the last mile logistic. What happens is this process where you have to take deliveries, you have to reprogram your delivery, or you probably are not in your house, and it represents a cost. It's a 40% of the carbon footprint and economic impact for all the business that was in the e-commerce business. So we are create Cobox Logistic. It's like a booking.com when you can find all the providers that services or the logistic services that you want. For example, if you need a warehouse, or if you need a delivery person, or if you need, I don't know, call center, you can find all the services that you want. You can quote in, you can contract and control all the logistic services. We transform the logistic in two steps. The first, you only have to configure what do you need, what type of services do you need, and the second, confirm your delivery. Our benefits, 45% of time saved, 23% of higher sales for our business partners, and 15% more deliveries for our suppliers. We are focused on small brands because they need the efficient cost, and focus on corporate because they need the carbon footprint. And in different situations, we can offer the best, or we can make it better. It doesn't matter if you are a small brand or if you are a corporate. You can do it better. You need different type of services, and we can mix, or we can make a more efficient process for you. Our partners, we are now in 4 countries. We have different type of recognitions, and we continue trying to innovate in circular logistics around the world. What makes us different? We have the triple impact. The first, economic impact. We support e-commerce and companies with, to be more competitive. The second, the social impact, because we have a logistic collaborating. And environmental impact, because we have initiative and efficient process. We are more than numbers. We are more than 80 brands, more than 80 brands around the world. We have more than 70 suppliers around the world in 4 countries. And this is our type of clients. We can work with small brands, but we can work with corporate business. We are 3 dreamers, and the support of the different institutions that believe in our project, in our process. So if you want to talk about how can we reconfigure the logistic or the last mile logistic, we can talk today. Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers, thank you, amazing. Next up, we have Volvero, which is a company from Italy, and presenting the company is Emre Yiğit, the head of product. Emre, welcome. How are things? Sorry, we have the clicker. Do you have the clicker, girls? Please, thank you.
Sería más fácil operativamente
There you
tener.
go.
Let me just try it a little bit. This one, okay.
Excellent.
All right. Hello, everyone. It is Emre from Volvero. I want you to think about your last trip, last vacation. Might be to Bilbao, might be to Valencia, Malaga, nice places in Spain. There's like nice planning, everything is fun, you're excited, but you need to rent a car probably, because that's how we travel in these days in the cities, right? But the process might be bulky, especially for the tourists who doesn't know the local rental companies or like the foreigners. So this is the part that we are getting into business and solve your problem by introducing our app, Volvero. So we simply make you find any car, including the private owners in any city. So our process is streamlined online. No like the office, no dropping off papers, IDs, and anything. Everything is on the app. You just sign up only once, upload everything only once, and you just rent any car in seconds. So with this, as I mentioned, like we connect the private owners with you as well. So we have different models that we generate revenue. One of the resource of the cars is coming like car dealers and the rentals. If they have extra capacity, which is dying on their office, they can use our app and like they rent it out. And the corporates, they have a lot of cars that their employees are using, but some of them are just like sitting in their parking lots. So this is the point that we are coming into the business again, and they can upload their cars to our system, and we can rent them out. And like the people like you having the vacation, they can use them. And the private owners, if any of you guys can upload your car to our system, and you can rent it out like a Airbnb for cars business model. So the competition is kind of interesting. In the US, there is like two major players. They are doing good. But in Europe, there is not much happening. So we are one of the players in the market that we can dominate the European market. So we, like the technology, what's the difference? Volvero is doing than other similar players in the market is that we have an insurance that we have only created for this specific use case, which the other companies doesn't have. And also we have the pretty comprehensive technology behind that. We process the data and protect these data against any issues that can happen. So right now we have more than 30,000 downloads on our app and the users. So most of the vehicles that we have is in north of Italy at this point. And I think I should be faster. So we are in Italy, growing in Italy, but we want to test it in Spain, so that's why we are here. And I'm the head of the product, and everything related to app, every button that you guys are touching in the app is my responsibility, and I did them. And we have the big boss, Marco, who is running the company as a CEO. He has a background in finance and worked with the Silicon Valley-based institutions. And Coyote has a lot of big brands in his portfolio, like the background. He was running operations, and he's running the heavy operational business like Volvero on our end. So it is simple marketplace model. We get a fee from every transaction. And we have a lot of partners, as you might guess. And we are looking for $1.3 million. 30% of it is committed already, and we want to complete the rest. And that's it. I just made the last part a little bit fast, but I hope you guys understood it enough. And we are here to expand our business to Spain and Vizcaya market. If anyone is interested, we are here to talk.
Excellent,
Thank you.
Emery. Thank you. Excellent.
Sorry for the
Spot on.
delay.
No worries. It's not easy getting through in 3 minutes. Thank you so much. Round open for investment. Heard it here first. Thank you so much, Emery. And last but not least, we are moving back to the solar space. And our next company is coming from the US. This is Janta Power. And presenting the company is Adam Bodiza, CFO. Adam, welcome. Woo.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to introduce Janta Power. We are an energy tech startup based out of Dallas, Texas, very far from here. At the core, we believe that energy is the most important fundamental need. If it is so fundamental, it needs to be affordable, it needs to be reliable, it needs to be accessible, and of course, it needs to be sustainable. But why stop there? What if we can do all of that while using as little space as possible? So at Janta Power, we've developed the first truly three-dimensional solar technology, where now we're able to use 3 times more power for the same amount of space as traditional solar. The problem with traditional solar is low power density. If you want a lot of power, if you want a lot of energy, you need a lot of space. Similarly, you need with traditional solar, there is a 22% capacity factor, very low. And as an example for those that do not know, nuclear energy is usually at an 80 to 100% capacity factor, meaning that during your 24 hours of energy, you're only using solar for 22% of the time. Limited access, mainly in the United States, and it's not mainly a solar issue, but an energy issue, but the demand for energy is huge. Currently, with the growth of data centers, AI, we're seeing access to the grid, access to interconnection of 3 to 5 years. Our solution is inspired by both nature and civilization. Just like trees grow up and not flat, one of the biggest consumers of sunlight. Same with civilization. We went from living in single-story buildings to multi-story buildings. Our energy technology is no different. So we combine azimuthal tracking, a vertical approach where we're able to use produce 3 times more power for that same amount of space, and we're able to produce 50% more energy as traditional solar. Mainly due to the angle, the height, and the tracking. Gives us that higher energy output, higher capacity factor. If you have a technology that uses less land, produces more power, more energy, has extensive lifespan, we're able to get very low energy costs. Currently in the United States, we've reached as low as 2 cents per kilowatt hour, which is already one of the cheapest energies out there. And in the next 2 to 3 years, with a goal to reach 1 cent per kilowatt hour or lower. Spoke a lot about the hardware. We have a lot of software as well, fully autonomous. Once we install at any location, they track the sun from sunrise to sunset. We have integrated sensor suites that's able to give us issues weeks and months ahead of time, so we're able to ensure minimal downtime. $1 billion issue in this solar field is self-cleaning. Sorry, I'm speeding it up. Self-cleaning. Our towers are self-cleaning. 4-tier resiliency. Everywhere we go, we're able to build behind-the-meter microgrids, super smart system, energy management, remote control, and over-the-air updates. This is our comparative analysis. I'll just jump over it, but we're at a 32% capacity factor compared to 22%, 50% more energy on average, 3 times more power for the same amount of space. One of the cheapest costs of energy already out there. In terms of traction, we just closed our seed round, raised $5.7 million. Still open, $300,000 left for investment. In terms of projects, the most exciting ones, 3 extremely large airports, DFW, 3rd busiest in the world, ANA, which is, as a lot of people know here, operator of over 70 airports, and Munich International Airport, as well as 2 of the largest, T-Mobile and AT&T, largest cell companies in the world. And yeah, please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And
amazing. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well done. Excellent. Well done, guys. It's absolutely not easy, and what a complex, innovative company to communicate in 3 minutes. So well done. Amazing opportunity there, super innovative, and round still open. There you go. You're not even leading this round, you're just completing the round. So fascinating opportunity there, and already operating in Spain. So we are moving on to our next conversation around industrial data. This is a topic that we hit many times yesterday. Super complex. We had some really interesting insights from Manon, a super innovative company out of Madrid. But again, a huge challenge in terms of how how we're facilitating these more traditional industries with these new cutting-edge technologies that are now available. But to dive into this conversation in better detail, we have an extremely experienced panel now coming up to share their insights and expertise, very kindly led by Elena de Pablo, who's Ecosystem Senior Manager, EIT Manufacturing. Also participating, Susana Barasoin, Manager at Functional Print Cluster, John Nunez, R&D Project Manager at Advanced Manufacturing Technologies, and Santiago Vesga, Director of Projects at CITET. Welcome, folks. Please join us. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Cheers. All yours.
So thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session, Unlocking Value Through Industrial Data at the South Summit here in Bilbao. As they said, my name is Elena de Pablo. I'm part of EIT Manufacturing West. And I'm very pleased to be here accompanied by my colleagues. They are the experts in different sectors in the industry. So I think that the conversation is going to be very interesting. Just a couple of minutes to set up the scene. For those who don't know, EIT Manufacturing, we are the largest innovation industrial community in Europe. Our mission is to bring together Europe's manufacturing actors, industry, companies, universities, research centers, so they jointly work together to drive innovation, education, entrepreneurship. At the bottom objective is to make manufacturing in Europe more sustainable, more competitive, and more resilient. This is our target. And of course, data is at the heart of everything that we need to do. So just a couple of words about industrial data. Some are saying that industrial data is the new oil of the manufacturing world. But like oil, raw data must be processed, must be analyzed, must be applied somehow to really have an impact. It's like crude oil that needs to be refined before it's really useful. So we also see that the industry today is generating massive amount of data. However, some studies says that majority, a very large percentage of this data is unused. So the question that we want to explore here with this panel is, how do we move from this data abundance to actionable insights, right? Like, what are the strategies, what are the technologies, what are the cooperations between the different actors to really turn this big data that we all experience into real business value. So without further ado, because all the speakers have been presented, we are going to start with the first question. And I'm going to start with you, John. So from your perspective, where do you see the biggest opportunities in the industrial data today?
Well, hello everyone. I would say that the opportunity depends a lot on the position that the company occupies in the value chain. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you are a big company, a small company, if you are a technology provider, equipment provider, a final user, an end user, you will have different opportunities. To give you an example, in our case, we know well the machine tool industry. We have companies providing industrial equipment for many sectors. And for those, because they already have the data of their machines, the main opportunity is to generate data-driven services mm-hmm. that can in the future evolve into new business models, because they have the data. If we look on the other side, maybe in the end users, we are talking about small workshops, small companies. Their competitive advantage relies on the efficiency of their processes. So if you have the data, you can improve your processes, and then you can improve also your margins against the market. But in this case, the main gap is the digitalization itself, because those companies don't have the data. If we look at maybe technology providers that are offering robotics and automation solutions to the industry, their products by themselves rely on the data, because you need data to make them work. So for them, it's like a door to access the market and to demonstrate the capabilities of their technology. But and lastly, if you're talking about, for example, an OEM or tier 1 company in a big sector, those companies already have data, good data, but usually internal data. I think the opportunity there is to gather the data for the value chain and use it to improve their own business and their own products.
Thank you. Thank you. We are going to move because we have some ideas that we would like to discuss, and we are very short in time. So I'm going to give now to Susanna the next question. And actually, Susanna, you start, because I would like to each of you to present us a use case that the companies you are working with are implementing, and that you believe it has a particular interest to share with this audience. So I'm going to start with you, Susanna. So do you have a use case that you would like to share?
Yes, well, thank you, and good morning. Thank you, Elena, for the invitation. I'm going to follow the idea that John said. I think the opportunities, the use case coming from the opportunities, obviously. The companies are looking to the opportunities to create the use cases linked to the materials or linked to in our case, to the technologies. We are coming from a technology that is called the printed electronics, the functional printing. That is a very traditional technology that is producing very advanced technology. That is the printed electronics that can be integrated in different sensors, in different products to become smart, to collect data. So our opportunity, our use cases are coming from the technology. So our main use cases at the moment are the investing in new materials, in investing in new inks, cheaper inks that can be used in different technologies. So the inversion in new material advances, new materials and advanced materials is very important. So mainly we are working in those, in different courses, in different projects. And also we are working a lot in the electronics, in the new electronics, in the, probably I don't going to pronounce properly, the heterogeneous electronics. To work with the normal electronic, the printed electronics can work with the conventional electronic, the 3D electronic, the PCBs. We can all work together and create new products to collect better the data and to create sustainable, good products to collect for the good collection data in Europe. So at the moment, we can say the use cases for us, the more important investment that we are doing is create new heterogeneous printed electronics and invest in new materials. And also, I think it's very important that if we look at the moment in all the sensor, in all the intelligent products that we are creating, and we are having in Europe, I think we need to invest in those new materials and new advanced electronic because if not, we are going to have biggest problems in the future.
What do you think, Santiago?
Yes. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. So first of all, to put a little bit of context, CITET is not an industrial cluster, but it is really related to the industry because we are a cluster around logistics and transport, and without logistics and transport, there won't be industry. So we are really close to the industry. And talking about the challenges that we have and also the use cases that we are developing within the cluster, I think the main challenge regarding data in the supply chains and in the logistics sector is the thing that the supply chains is really fragmented, because there are many players which are involved in the supply chains, from industry, producers, shippers, logistics operators, transport, also the government, and so on. So if we want really to collaborate, there is a need of data, but it is really important to bear in mind that there are many players that have to be aligned. And in this sense, we have a project in CITED, which is our main project nowadays, in which basically, really fast forward explain, some years ago we realized, because we usually make committees and so on, and we gather all the companies that have to distribute. So some years ago they realized, the companies that are making the last mile distribution, they realized that they would have to collaborate somehow. And they realized that if they want to collaborate, they need to share data and to talk the same language, because nowadays in the logistics supply chains, for example, every single partner identifies the parcels with their own system. So if we are talking about, for example, about micro hubs in the cities and so on, and we want to make them collaborative, we have to create somehow a common language for all them. And that's exactly what we did in CITED. We developed a new solution, which is named StandTrack, which allows collaboration and data sharing within all the players in the supply chain. And in that sense, is the best example on how the cluster can help our ecosystem and our sector to provide solutions that could be useful to the ecosystem.
Very interesting, thank you. So it's merging different types of data.
Yes.
Thank you. What about you, John? What do you have to share with us?
Yeah, as I talked about our sector in the previous question, I will directly go to the use case, because I have some of them that are quite nice. We have, for example, a project with 3 of our companies where we are working in a concept that we call like the process metaverse. And it's like a merge between the concept of metaverse, what you think it is, a virtual environment with all the assets that are virtualized and so, and it's merged with the digital twin, that copy of the machine that is fed with real data of the machine. So we put everything together, and we try to generate a virtual environment where we can simulate the process that is happening in a machine tool, for example. But not only taking into account the data from the machine tool, that would be like the digital twin, we are merging data also from simulating all the elements that are there. The workpiece, the fixtures, the tool itself. So we are trying to improve the process to identify where is the wear happening, where are the defects happening, how to improve the trajectories of the tool. So if you have all the data in a virtual environment, and you can simulate that before it happens in the machine, and then once you try it in the machine, you can, not real time, but near real time, take measures to improve what is happening. It's a nice project. We also have another project, I give you just 2 use cases, where we are developing what we call the cognitive mechatronics. So it means that from the design phase of a mechatronic system, that could be a machine or another type of element, of asset, we are using AI to try to predict the function and the malfunction of those components, and then with the real data, putting sensors and collecting the real function of the elements, we put everything together, and using AI, we try to improve the design phase, taking into account the final usage of those assets. So it's like introducing in the design phase the final usage and try to improve from the early stages.
So this is predictive functioning.
It's somehow predictive, but predictive design, let's say.
Predictive design, exactly, using large amount of data. Thank you, thank you. So let's go to trends. Because now you are talking about We have seen different use cases that you are experiencing, that you are exploring. But what are you, each of you, observing in your sector? Because now we are talking about 3 different sectors. Which are the trends for the usage of this industrial data to make it valuable, to make it to have a business impact? Do you see it more like for predictive maintenance or for energy efficiency traceability? I mean, what do you see that are the trends? We are going to start with Santiago now.
Yes. For example, in the logistics sector and in detail in the last mile distribution, we are seeing a big trend on AI, of course, because, for example, nowadays, today, we are involved in the Black Friday campaign and also in Christmas campaign. If you realize, a couple of or 3 years or 4 years ago, when we had these main campaigns, everything was collapsed, and the last mile distribution companies weren't able to distribute the goods in a good time. And nowadays they are evolving a lot because they are able to predict the demand and use the data that they have from previous years to predict what's going to happen, if they are going to need more warehouses, more transport, more personnel or whatever, and they are able to predict and to use the technology in a way that every person can see it in the streets, because you as a user can see that the companies are really improving the way they work thanks to the data and how they manage it.
Mm-hmm. You are implementing systems to collect the data, to analyze the data, and to do this prediction.
Correct.
Good. For the Black Friday. That's good.
Yes.
So, Susanna, give us an example of which trends do you experience in your industry, in your sector?
As an industry, because we are a cross-cutting transversal ecosystem, is not. We are working with different markets. So our industry is focused in, at the moment, in 5 markets, 5 verticals. The mobility, the logistics. So we are working in the trends coming from every market. So we have different traceability, all the markets difference, but watching or looking from our technology. So I'm coming again to the technology. The technology who is collecting the data. Obviously, we are looking to the sustainability. We need to create sensors and products that can collect data that they are produced from the beginning in a good way, in a sustainability way, because we need to improve in Europe in that sense. And it's our opportunity as well. It's a trend in Europe that we need to use it. We need to catch this opportunity in Europe. And also, again, the integration and the interoperability in the different advanced manufacturing, all heterogeneous again. We need to work, the different producing materials, the different advanced manufacturing need to work together. We need to collaborate in the different manufacturing production, because it's important to create products that they are manageable, that they can work together in different sectors. They are dual, no? That is the word dual in military sectors, in civil sectors, in health. You need transversal products. So we need to work in create products that there are, I don't know how to name it, heterogeneous again, or interoperability, that can be open to different markets. Sometimes the transversal sector is complicated because you need to work very hard in the different markets, specialize. But I think now is the moment for the transversal, for the cross-cutting sectors. Is our moment, I think. And the last is the collaboration. I think we need to work together. And I think it's very good and very nice to say, but I think it's very important that we work together and create these startups and administration and clusters and association to push this technology, to collect good data and to create products, industry that can collect good data. Mm-hmm.
So you are in the trend of data creation, data integration, to make it across the different systems that make sense across across it. Thank you very much. What do you think about it? What is your experience with, how do you see the trends?
I will mention
John?
2 trends that I think are specific for our sector. First one is the usage of AI for simulation, like digital twins and so on, but not for predictive maintenance, but for machine to shorten the machine delivery times. Okay, imagine in our sector a machine delivery time could go up to 6, 8, 10, 12 months, and sometimes cutting that time 1 month or 2 months can be the key competitive advantage against your competitors. So if we use like digital twins, the assembly process can go in parallel for different areas of the company. I mean, usually a machine starts with the mechanical assembly, then you can put the hydraulic systems, then the electronics come, and each step needs the previous one to be finished. But if you have like a digital twin or a simulation tool, each one can go working in the machine before the previous stage has ended. So you can shorten those delivery times. So that's like very specific usage of data for our sector, but it goes directly to the competitiveness of the companies. Another trend could be the regeneration of synthetic data. Let's say that our equipment and machines fail very few times. We don't have enough failure data to train the models. It's not easy. So being able to generate synthetic data, good synthetic data about failures especially, that could make a difference when training AI models and machine learning models, traditional algorithms, and so on.
So can you define synthetic data?
So those data that seem like real one, but are not coming from production. You can have real data, your machine fails, and you have data about why it has failed and so on. But if your machine does not fail, you have to somehow invent those data. And there is science behind that. If you are able to generate good synthetic data, your models will be trained with better data and the results will be better.
So to the production data you are adding
additionally
you're created data to complement the data that you are collecting plus all this generated to give a rounder view of the
to
process.
Have a better pool of data to train the models. The more data you have, the better results you will have.
Good. Thank you. So I would like to hear from you also. What do you think are the challenges that we are facing? Do you see it every day in your work? Do you talk to your companies? They are facing the challenges because we could think that there are many, right, that we are facing right now with regards to this large amount of data that we are exposed to. So what do you think, John? I'm going to start now this way.
I think the first challenge is data availability. And I'm not talking about your internal data, the data you have from your production, but for the data that the users are generating when they are working with your machines, your equipment. Quite often it happens that the customer, you can ask the customer to provide you the data, but quite often they don't have reasons to do so. So you have to give something in exchange just to make them give you the data so you can improve your machine and so on. So that's one challenge. And I would say that the other main challenge is regarding integration of data, but not because it is difficult to do, because there are like languages, protocols, and so on to do it. But it's not easy to manage data that comes from out your company and put it together with your own data. Because quite often the structure of the data itself is different. So you need to normalize, standardize that data, and that's a challenge because you have many sources and you have to put everything together. Here, for example, the usage of data spaces is an enabler because it provides you a framework where all the data is provided in the same way.
Thank you. What do you see your challenges? What are your experiences, Susana?
From our point of view, one of the main challenges is also the standardization. not only about the data and also the materials. Again, we are facing big problems with the standardization of the new materials, advanced materials. But I think in our conversation in the cluster and in the technological platform, we see a major challenge in all the talent, especially in the talent. I think we have engineers, electronic engineers. We have a lack in the industry at the moment. We have lack of industrial engineers, especially in regions, in small cities, and we need, I think, to have a broad education in not only intelligence, artificial intelligence, or collecting data. I think the engineers specialize in collecting data in all the, the mathematics. They need to know how the systems are done, how the sensors are produced. I think we need a broad training in those engineers. And also in the traditional universities, industrial engineers need to know more, educate more about collecting data. I think we are going to face a lack of talent in the future, and especially to keep the talent where the industry is. And I think, especially for example, Basque Country or Navarra or Spain, we need to keep those talents that obviously they need to travel. They face a good opportunity abroad in other countries, and I think we have a big challenge in the talent at the moment.
That's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Santiago, I'm going to skip you for this question because they are telling me we have 2 minutes, but I would like to close, to have a closing round. So I'm going to ask you to start with your remarks. What is your final thought that you would like people in the audience to remind? Do you have any recommendation for companies that are looking to unlock more value from their industrial data? What would you like to say to them?
Okay, although you skip me, I'm gonna answer really quick. Basically, in the supply chains, we have the same problems, availability and standardization, but there are key features of the supply chains that make even tough in our sector. For example, the use of freelance. At the end, the freelance are the ones driving the lorries, and they are the ones that has to gather the data, so training is really important. And as a final remark, I would say that collaboration is needed if we are talking about sharing data, and for that I think that we have a really good tool which are the clusters, and we are here to help, to provide solutions that similar to the one I was commenting before. And I think we are a good tool to gather all the entities around specific sectors and start working around sharing data and how and why.
Collaboration, perfect. Susana, what are your final thoughts?
Just a sentence: invest in the right talent and cross-disciplinary knowledge. Don't keep just in one knowledge, just open your mind and open the mind of your talent. Nothing else.
Thank you. What about you, John?
I would say that data is not the goal, but an enabler. It's an enabler for many technologies that will improve the competitiveness of the companies in the coming years, like AI, simulation, inspection, even quantum computing. All those technologies need data to work. So the goal is not the data, but you need to have data. So everyone should start now capturing, filtering, storing, analyzing, exploiting the data, even if it is on small scale. But you need to start.
Data, very, very important. Thank you so much. So thank you so much, Santiago, Susana, John. That was very interesting, at least for me. I hope for the audience. I hope that this session also gave you new ideas and inspiration on how to use data in your jobs. And with that, I think we are concluding this roundtable, and I hope that you keep enjoying South Summit for the rest of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena, folks. Thank you. Much appreciated. It's incredible, and almost impossible to dive into the detail of the opportunity around industrial data in such a condensed amount of time. So we really appreciate you sharing your expertise in such an efficient way. Folks, we have made it. We are here at our closing ceremony for South Summit Industry and Energy 2025, our 4th edition here in Bilbao. I think we have been blown away by the level of maturation of this ecosystem. It is such an incredible world-class example of how to build clusters, how to advance cutting-edge industries, and how to connect all of that at an international level. So we couldn't be happier for being here, and thank you so much for joining us. And to finish out, please join me giving a big warm South Summit welcome to our founder and president, María Benjumea, por favor. Welcome.
Well, here we are to say we finished. But we finished and we are starting again. So the first thing I want to say is that we have enjoyed these 2 days extremely, and with very inspiring conversations of all of you. So first of all, Diputada Foral, I want to thank all of you, all the speakers, all our startups and the companies, all that you've come here. And very especially, quiero agradecerte, Diputada Foral, por estar aquí, Ainara Basurco. Es un honor tenerte aquí, un placer trabajar de la mano de toda la Diputación, de todo el equipo de Biscay Accelerator Tower, where we are, que es verdaderamente increíble cómo hemos ido trabajando, y además la apuesta que desde la Diputación Foral de Vizcaya realmente tenéis por desarrollar todo el ecosistema, todo este ecosistema de innovación, de emprendimiento, de conexión entre los diferentes actores, porque estamos convencidos que en una región tan potente, una de las regiones de referencia de la industria y de la energía a nivel global, trabajar de la mano, working together with the startups, just to go ahead is really incredible. So I want to give a message to the startups. The really interesting startups that you have pitched here for all the companies, for all the investors that we have been together during these 2 days. Here you have a great opportunity to come to develop your companies here in Biscay region, because you have lots, as you have seen, of companies to work with. You have lots of investors that will fuel your company, and above all, you will have a government, a Diputación, that really wants to support you, really want to dare for you. So here we are. Hemos visto que este ecosistema realmente está maduro. Es impresionante el grado de desarrollo que vamos viendo. Y una cosa fundamental es cómo, cuando la innovación, cuando la apuesta completa por este mundo que se mueve tan rápido y trabajamos de la mano las corporaciones, las startups, los inversores y las instituciones, podemos llegar allá donde nos lo planteemos. Estamos en un ecosistema, como decíamos antes, maduro. Y estamos en una región que no solamente nos permite desarrollar nuestras compañías, sino que es un placer vivir. Es decir, que no solamente hemos tenido 2 días súper extraordinarios de trabajo, yo por lo menos, y estoy convencida que todos vosotros conmigo, lo hemos disfrutado a tope. Enfocar lo que estamos haciendo de una manera vertical, como aquí, con una apuesta por la energía y por la industria, nos permite profundizar en nuestras conexiones y nos permite desarrollarlo mucho más. Nos hemos concentrado aquí estos días unas 360 personas, pero lo que es impresionante es que con un 31% de fuera de España y, por otra parte, representando a más de 40 países. Es alucinante, pero eso es lo que queremos. Somos un mundo global. And that's why we are here all together, sharing our business. So this is 2025. We are already working for 2026 because we have lots of great things to do together. Thank you very, very much. And now I want to give the words to our dear Ainara Basurko. Muchas gracias.
Maria, eta South Summiteko ekintzaile, berritzaile eta lagun estimatuak. South Summit Industry and Energy topaketaren 4. edizio honen amaierara iritsi gara. Eta lehenik eta behin eskerrak eman naiz dizkizuet. Posible egin duzuelako berriro, Bizkaia, industrian eta energian, Europa hegoaldeko ekintzailetza aurreratuaren erdigunea izatea 2 egun hauetan. Estamos cerrando la 4ª edición del South Summit Industry and Energy y quiero comenzar, decía, agradeciendo a todas las personas que habéis hecho posible que Vizcaya vuelva a ser durante 2 días el centro del emprendimiento avanzado del sur de Europa en industria y energía. Thank you to those who have shared your knowledge, to the corporations and investors seeking new opportunities, and of course, to the startups, the driving force behind this event. This year, we have enjoyed an outstanding international presence. 95% of the startups were from countries such as Germany, Italy, Chile, South Korea, France, and the United Kingdom. This diversity reflects the role that Vizcaya is taking on as an open, connected, and attractive region for global talent and investment. Gracias a quienes habéis compartido vuestro conocimiento, a las corporaciones e inversores que buscáis nuevas oportunidades y, por supuesto, a las startups, el motor de este encuentro. Decía que este año hemos contado con una presencia internacional extraordinaria. El 95% de las startups representando a países como Alemania, Italia, Chile, Corea del Sur, Francia o Reino Unido, hasta muchos países más. Esta diversidad es una muestra del papel que Vizcaya está asumiendo como territorio abierto, conectado y atractivo para el talento e inversión global. Una startup es una empresa que nace para crecer rápido, con mirada global y con una propuesta innovadora. Aquí, en nuestro Centro Internacional de Emprendimiento, en BAT, Accelerator Tower, lo vemos en directo todos los días. Ideas que se convierten en proyectos que buscan financiación y alianzas que estoy segura verán la luz en forma de nuevas soluciones industriales y energéticas. En esta edición se ha hablado de descarbonización, de nuevas formas de movilidad, de energías renovables, de inteligencia artificial aplicada a procesos productivos, de redes inteligentes y de tecnologías climáticas. Y hemos constatado algo fundamental. La transición energética es ineludible, pero sobre todo es una oportunidad para reforzar nuestra competitividad industrial. Aquí en Vizcaya queremos avanzar hacia un modelo energético descarbonizado sin renunciar a nuestra fortaleza industrial. Somos un territorio con un sector energético estratégico que aporta alrededor del 7,5% del PIB, que genera empleo altamente cualificado y que tracciona a industrias clave. Y somos también un territorio donde la industria pesa más del 20% del PIB y que este porcentaje sube hasta el 40% si le sumamos los servicios industriales avanzados. Esta transición ya se está construyendo aquí y lo demostramos con proyectos como el Global Smart Grids Innovation Hub, junto a Iberdrola y la cadena de valor asociada, diseñando las redes eléctricas de futuro. el Energy Intelligence Center, que impulsa el hidrógeno y los combustibles renovables para descarbonizar procesos industriales, o BAT, un ecosistema que conecta a más de 214 organizaciones con múltiples nodos internacionales para acelerar la innovación y nuevos negocios, que esperemos además, comunidad, que crezca después de un evento tan interesante y con startups tan interesantes como las que han confluido aquí. Y todo ello respaldado con un marco fiscal moderno, estable y especialmente favorable para la I+D, la innovación y la descarbonización. Over these 2 days, we have seen that when talent, ambition, knowledge and global outlook come together, real opportunities emerge. I am convinced that many of the ideas presented here will go far and have an impact in the coming years. Personalki, eskertu nahi diot South Summiteko talde osoari bere konpromisoa, profesionaltasuna eta ikusten duzuen bezala energia. Zuekin lan egitea da bultzada importantea Bizkaiarentzat. Les decía que agradezco personalmente a todo el equipo de South Summit su compromiso, su profesionalidad y su energía. Trabajar con vosotros, lo decimos siempre, pero es así, es un impulso para el territorio. Y a todos y a todas los que habéis participado, gracias por elegir Bizkaia, para compartir vuestras experiencias y para contribuir a que este encuentro crezca año tras año. Eskerrik asko, benetan, parte hartu duzuen guztioi. South Summit Industry and Energy 2025 ends today, but its legacy begins tomorrow. Thank you very much. Eskerrik asko.
Eskerrik asko, diputada. Folks, that is a wrap. We are finished for South Summit Industry and Energy 2025. Keep an eye out for South Summit Industry and Energy 2026. We'll be back here to the wonderful city of Bilbao and the region of Vizcaya, the most innovative ecosystem for these industries in Europe, without a shadow of a doubt. Join us before then in Brazil, Porto Alegre, from the 25th to the 27th of March. And of course, you're all invited to South Summit Madrid, June 3rd to the 5th for our 15th edition in Madrid this year. You're all welcome, and please stick around, make the connections to do business and build those partnerships. Join us for pinchos and drinks here as we continue the networking and we start off the partnerships. Eskerrik asko, thank you.